Welcome to Two Girls, One Podium, the podcast where girl talk meets the finish line.
Join your hosts Millie and Jasmine, two besties with a passion for speed, sport and spilling all the tea. Whether we're breaking down the latest race drama, fangirling over our favourite drivers, or just having a laugh about life behind the scenes, we're bringing you the ultimate mix of motorsport and girl power.
So grab your iced coffee, buckle up and let's hit the track because here it's always full throttle and fabulous. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Two Girls, One Podium. It's been a hot minute. Millie, how are we doing this week? Yeah, all good. Lots of exciting things to talk about. Half of them I can't remember. Love that.
Missing last week's. One, it was a little bit boring, so we didn't feel like we needed us to natter on about it. And two, we're busy girls, but we're back.
Yeah.
So let's start where we always start, at the beginning.
At the start. No, I like it when you say let's start at the
Let's
start.
start at the start. So Oscar came swinging out on turn one, and Lando, he pulled back again. Lando. Max swooped in as he always does, a vulture, that man, and got that P2 position. So yeah, it's a classic start from the McLaren boys.
I mean, have we seen anything different really happen this season? No. But does that mean that's how it's going to end up? Also no. So, I mean, it leaves him with a lot of work to do. And as I said multiple times, I really want to see him nailing those starts. But he still finds a way to come back. Just would like to see him have to do less.
Yeah, because the thing is, we've had this exact same discussion 3 or 4 times now this season. Something needs to change. I mean, Max is a bully. Not in a horrible way. He's a bully on... It's his job. That's literally his job.
Not in a horrible way where tunes might change.
Well.
How the turntables...
Have turned?
Have turned.
Yeah, so we'll come back to Max's poor behaviour later on because it didn't happen at the beginning. He was boisterous, but all drivers need to be. So yeah, he was doing what he needed to do. Meanwhile, Charles and Lewis, they started scrapping quite early on. 4th and 5th. We love an internal fight.
Yeah, because do you know what? I think if they don't do it, Ferrari ain't going to do it, are they? Like, ultimately, it's up to those two boys to do whatever the hell they want that they think is going to make things work. And yeah, good on them.
They're bringing their own eggs this week. Race. They ain't forgotten them.
They said, screw you giving us the ingredients to make the right cake. We're making our own. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Even if we don't have eggs, we're going to make it eggless.
Eggless.
Because
it's going to be vegan. It'll be vegan. Don't worry about it.
You can do that these days.
You actually substitute it with lemonade because that makes it rise.
Period. Mm-hmm. And if anyone needs to know how to make a cake, Camille's your gal.
Yeah, exactly.
Apparently.
So going back to Lando, he does regain lap 13, I think it is. Unlucky for some, but not for Lando. It took him a little minute, but he does take it back from Max. There's a lot of strategy going on this race. Kind of love that because there was a lot of debate between a 2 or 3 stopper. Red Bull were pushing. I don't think McLaren saw them as a threat early on in the race, but boy, did that change.
It did. But I do think as well, like there is an opportunity here to do a 2-stop right in this track. And I think a lot of teams were leaning towards that because we saw Max stay on the softs for quite a long time. And obviously, as we get towards the end of the race, again, we'll talk about the change in tyres at that point. But I do think it is possible to do a 2-stop. So, yeah, it's nice to see McLaren really thinking about what it is that they're trying to do and how they want to do it.
Yeah, agreed. There was a lot of strategical thinking, and I think Red Bull really came through this race with their strategy. I was very impressed. They just kept on McLaren like hot on them. Well, I mean, Max did.
Yeah, and let's say again, this is all up until a certain point in the race that we mean this stuff, because things change and we will get into it. But yes, I agree. I think, realistically, Red Bull's strategy usually is very good. Like, they've got a very good strategist. I can't remember her name, but
She is.
She's been there since Max was winning his world championship. She's not stupid. She knows what she's doing. Obviously, you can't get every single race right every single time, but she rarely gets things wrong.
Yeah.
So it clearly worked out for them to an extent. But yeah, I don't think it was necessarily her call that made things go awry, but I could be wrong on that. I want to stick up for her because she's a woman.
Yeah, no, I think she's awesome. Honestly, I do. I think she's got some really, really good strategy going on.
Agree.
And obviously that's
very strong.
Yeah, she is. And her and Max as a duo are super strong. I think the car isn't as strong this season compared to the others. But if that was in the right place, then obviously Max would be taking way more podiums.
Yeah, and if we want to go back to our cake analogy, because we seem to love that, I think Red Bull right now, they've got all the ingredients. They just ain't got the right bowl.
Yeah.
They haven't got the bowl to fit it all in and get it right.
Yeah. They can't mix it. They want a KitchenAid stirrer and they've got a Swan. So
yeah. Need to upgrade,
Need to upgrade. Indeed. McLaren's strategy was a little bit odd. Early on in the race, they decided to pit Lando before Oscar, even though Oscar was leading. And I didn't know how that was going to work out, because I think they should have pitted Oscar and kept Lando to keep everyone back, as we saw Williams do the previous race, which we didn't cover. But they didn't. I mean, it did work out, but it was risky.
Yeah, normally lead driver gets default first call on what they want to do. Now, I don't know if there was some radio messages where they kind of discussed it. They probably pre-agreed it.
Yeah.
And I would imagine it was because they wanted to cover off certain cars, and maybe they thought if Lando comes in, he's covering them off. That then buys Oscar more time, because it might force the other teams to pit earlier.
Yeah.
It's mind tactics as well, right?
That's
come into play. But I think ultimately it paid off in the end. But yes, it's usually quite odd to see that if it's not pre-agreed that you don't give the lead driver first call.
Yeah, and I do agree. I think a lot of it is going to be the mind games, because it is always who's going to be the first to pit. I think Mercedes were the first to pit this race, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was Lewis, and he was like, what the fuck is
Lewis
going on?
is not in a Mercedes.
No, sorry, it wasn't. It
First mistake of the season.
Lewis. Was it Lewis?
So then it was Ferrari.
Yeah, I think it was Ferrari. And then Lewis was like, yeah, because I'm pretty sure it was Lewis, because it was quite sassy. I mean, he's a sass queen.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure he got pitted first, and he was like, why have we done this? Because it was
I think you're right.
It was really early.
I think you're right, because I think there was a radio message where he was asking, like, why have we done this so early? And they didn't really give him an answer. And again, I find it strange, because Lewis, if anyone can make their tyres last, it's Lewis, right? There's a set few drivers who know how to hold onto the tyres and use them at the right time. Lewis, Sainz, Max, there might be one or two other people on the grid. Yeah, exactly. Like, they know what they're doing. So to bring him in early, like, we've seen that man win a race with 3 wheels. So if anyone can make tyres last, it is him. So I don't understand why Ferrari keep doing this. And like, even after Monaco, after this race, the way he's so dejected, it's kind of like Lando's vibe is now in Lewis. Like, Lewis is kind of facing that. But I don't think that's coming externally. That's purely coming from the team, because I just don't feel like they're treating him as someone with the knowledge. Yeah, and the same for Leclerc, right? I don't think he's clearly not been listened to over the last couple of years, because he's past the point of kind of being polite about it. But yeah, it wasn't very nice to see. And I want something to change at Ferrari, because it's just not working.
Yeah, as always, strategic decisions from really odd.
Are we surprised? No. Yeah.
Let's talk about some bad luck.
Here we go. Here we go.
My boy. I mean, one, Lawson best get back in his box, because I'm not here for it. I'm not. That little hothead coming after.
It feels he's feeling a little bit like Crash Stappen. Like when Max was in that, I mean, he still crashes now, but like back when he was first coming up in that, like he was very well known for being crashy. And I feel like Lawson is the same. But again, if you look at how Red Bull V-Carb kind of run, I don't even think it's V-Carb at this point. I genuinely think it's Red Bull because he was in that seat and now he's not. They encourage that kind of behavior because they want these guys to be like Schumacher and they want them to be a bit different, be entertaining. Why put a filter on them? And like, good for you, but Lawson hasn't got the skill that Max had at his age behind it to be like that yet.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that harshly, but the stats will tell you that he doesn't have that, right? And maybe just put your head down a little bit. Like the amount of flack they gave Yuki for being a hothead, I don't see the same being done with Lawson.
In comparison to Lawson, as in hothead.
Not now, but he was back when he was first coming up. He was.
But yeah, maybe you're right.
Bad.
Maybe it is encouraged in them because I'm telling you what, it wasn't just Williams that Lawson played around with. Poor old Ollie Behrman had a casual clip on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just not here for the chaos that he's causing. It's not, like Haas and Williams are both doing a really great job this season, and there he is in the middle, getting in the way. Like I just think, fuck off to the back again, would you?
Piss off out of it,
mate. I mean? Like if you're not going to drive respectfully, get to the back.
Yeah.
Not
but as I said, it feels a little encouraged. Obviously, they don't want to crash the car because they lose money, but every race there's an incident with Lawson.
I know.
So something's not working.
It's not, and I think it might be him. Sorry, not sorry. You come for my Williams, I'll come for you. Because poor Albon also had to retire his car, which I was a devo about. But did we all see the sneaky little sneak what Williams did? So Albon had a little penalty because he was a little bit naughty. Whoopsie. So he had a 10-second penalty and he went back out in his retired car to serve the penalty so that it wasn't carried over into Canada race. So
smart. Honestly smart, because you're not losing anything and there's no rule saying that you can't. So yeah, that is the kind of thinking you want from a team, right? So that you're not carrying anything over. But I do think like it sucks for them for this race, but it doesn't erase everything that's happened, and I truly think we will continue to see them hitting, those P5s. Might even see a P4 at some point. I genuinely think they are now up there with the top teams. They're really up there competing in most of these races. So it was a bit wobbly at the start of this season, but they've seemed to hit their stride. Obviously this race not so much, but yeah, I think we can still be looking forward to Canada.
Yeah, and James Vowles even came out before the race and was like, this track just isn't for us. And then they had a load of bad luck. And you know what? Shit happens.
What can you do?
What
can you do?
Shit
their cake was burnt, and sometimes you just have to throw the cake away and come back with a new one.
No one wants burnt cake.
So
just try again next
let's
time.
hope they've got a nice cake this weekend.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Victoria Sponge or something.
Oh yeah, I love a Vicky Sponge.
Yeah, nice, classic. Chef's kiss. Moving on. So Kimi, poor Kimi again. What's going on in Mercedes?
I don't know. And to be fair, like watching that replay, it was fully the car. The car it made a weird noise, stopped working.
It did the same thing as it did the week before when he brought his classmates to come and see him.
Oh, don't, because every time you bring that up, it makes me feel really sad.
Well, I think Mercedes should feel sad because they're not doing that boy justice.
They're not, but at least we know it's not him, right? He's had such a good run this season, and I'm hoping they fix this because, as I said, Kimi for podium at some point. I really, really want to see it. Like, genuinely think he is one of the best debuts we've seen for a while. And like, don't get me wrong, I love all the newbies. Don't get me wrong. Like, and I will talk about Hadja, but right now we're talking about Kimi. But genuinely, like the consistency, the thought process, the potential, and the way he drives. sorry, I have a cat here again trying to play. The way he drives, like he's got championship winner written all over him, and you know these two races have been really bad luck, not through his fault. Let's see if they can fix it and want him on the podium.
I just think Mercedes need to bring him
some eggs, maybe a few chocolate chips or something as well, just to cheer him up, because it's been hard.
It's been a hard slog. But he again brought out the safety car, not that it was his fault, and that changed things, as it always does.
It did. Do we want to unpack that?
Yeah, so maybe we should start talking about Max again now. So,
oh, Max, I've tried so hard this entire season to be very unbiased.
Let's start in the pits, right? So I think this
in the pitters.
In the pits. He wasn't getting any deodorant in the pits, I'm telling you, because
that can was empty.
Pitted him and put him on hards.
Hards.
Yeah.
Well, we know why now, but as soon as that happened, everyone questioned what.
He should have just stayed out.
Should have just stayed out. He could have made those tyres last. And this is where I don't understand the call. And whether it was made by the strategist or by the race engineer or not race engineer, but you know what I mean, the people on the pit wall. I don't know where the call came from, but to not even give him an option is where I think it's gone wrong. Because in the past, we would have seen that conversation play out, and Max probably would have said, nah, I'm going to stick it. Because if I've only got hards, we know they're not lighting up on this track. I don't want to do it. Not at all.
Fishy to me.
This is where I think things are starting to break down, because again, Max is not shy. He will make decisions and he will make calls. If he knew he was coming in because he only had hards left, I think he'd have just stayed out. But that didn't happen. And then the resulting tantrum that happened, I thought we'd seen this to this extent side of Max done, but we haven't. I want to hear your thoughts. What were you thinking?
I can see why Max was so annoyed, because it hindered his race. He could have come first, I think, if they had left him out, because everybody else would have pitted, so he would have had a good head start, like 15 seconds or so. And he's a good enough driver, and he's good at tyre management. And I know they were softs, and I know they were quite far in, but I just think he could have done something with that, and they jeopardized that for him. And I don't think that's fair, because he was a threat, and then they eliminated that threat. So you could have at least podiumed, if not come first.
So I agree with everything that you're saying, right? I think he was on to a decent race. We were going to see, him potentially at P3, which we've seen multiple times. He somehow manages to pull that off, but it all went wrong. He had that squiggle down the pit straight, whereas, I feel like he was fighting that rear end pretty much the whole race, and you could really tell then. And obviously, Max being Max, he somehow manages to hold on to a car that does that and still be able to drive it, which is, incredible, not taking anything away. And then he had the little love tap from Leclerc, and, it could it have been avoided? Yeah, but is it a move that Max has done multiple times on other people? Also, yeah. I don't think there was any maliciousness from Leclerc. They're good mates, whatever. Then you had the George incident before or after that. I can't remember if it was before or after. This is definitely before the hards, obviously, where George had a snap of oversteer because he was behind Leclerc, and that meant that he dinged left and tried to correct it so that he obviously was avoiding Max, but they tapped. Could have been worse, but George has nowhere to go. He's on the inside. If you're going on the outside, technically you're absorbing the risk. Again, a move we've seen from Max so many times, or complaints we've seen from Max so many times if he's on the inside. I don't think there was anything George could do to stop it, and there wasn't any intention in it either. So you had all that going on, and then he got put on hards. And then the tantrum just boiled over.
Yeah.
And I think, again, his team let him down. His team told him to give the place back, and I understand why. They've been burnt before where they haven't given the place back, so they wanted to avoid that. But there was nothing to say that he needed to. They could have risked it, right? And they would have probably had less of a penalty if that was the case. But that tipped Max over the edge because he didn't agree, and they tell him to give the place back. He looks like he's about to give the place back, and then he decides, actually, no, I don't want to. It's George. They always clash. Don't think they like each other very much. I don't, that's pretty obvious. Yeah. And as George is turning into Oaks, he's taking it over him. Max decides against it, speeds up, crashes into him on purpose, and it's a full bumper car moment. And he's lucky that he tapped it the way that he did, because that could have been so much worse. And I think for someone who complained so much about the 51G incident at Silverstone with Lewis Hamilton, to do that to another driver, you're a hypocrite, and I no longer care about how you feel about that, because you have purposely decided to potentially put other people at risk because you're annoyed at your own team.
Yeah.
Get a grip and get a life. Are you 5?
Yeah.
Are you actually 5?
It's him, and the fact that he let his emotions rule that decision rather than his clear head is upsetting, because he's not a rookie, he's a legacy now, and I think that it's poor displayed behavior to everyone else on the grid as well. You're a world champion, and that's the way that you're choosing to act, even though you understand the full risks. It just doesn't make sense. And yes, your team have made some bad calls.
But how is that someone else's fault?
It's not. And it's not George's fault, but George did feel the wrath.
Yeah, and do you know what as well? I think, again, I get it. Schumacher was like this. You had other people, you had this Vettel. He did the same thing to Lewis Hamilton when he thought Lewis had done something intentionally to him, purposely crashed into him in the pits. Obviously, later on, he turns around and says that, should never have done that. But we've seen Schumacher literally disqualified for that kind of behaviour. Max gets a 10-second penalty, which fine, he got something, but I feel like the FIA always drop the ball with Max in terms of correcting that behaviour, and then they make everyone else think it's okay, and it's only when someone else does it that they then bring in a rule. And it's what does he have to do in order for him to be told that's unacceptable? I get he doesn't want to be a role model. Kind of tough shit, because you are. Whether you want to be or not, you are. Do you want to stand up for that and lean into that? Fine, if you don't want to. But ultimately, you have to respect the sport enough, and you have to respect your fellow drivers, because it just doesn't make sense to me why you would even want to risk that. He might think he's not in the run-in for the championship, but there's still constructors. And who knows? McLaren could drop off a cliff. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there is still potential. You never know what's going to happen. And Max is here wasting that many points because he's annoyed at his team.
It's the safety aspect of you don't know. I mean, okay, it was only a clip, but you don't know how fast that can escalate. That can escalate quickly, because you clip into George and then he swerves out and then someone's already coming around the corner. It could escalate so quickly. And if anyone knows that, it should be them. They're the ones on the grid. They're the ones that see.
And you're putting so much into the other driver to not react poorly to that.
Yeah.
Which, how can you predict that when it's an unexpected... George thinks you're giving him the place back.
Yeah.
How is he meant to know? It could have been so much worse. Lucky that it wasn't, and that they didn't pick up too much damage, if any. But it's just so frustrating. And I get that he doesn't want to talk about it afterwards, but sorry, you've put yourself in this situation by doing that type of shit.
Yeah.
And then he stands by it. Fine. At least you got some balls or whatever. But then later on, clearly his PR team have come up and said you need to put a post out, and so he's backtracked, and it's he doesn't believe that.
No, of course he doesn't.
So what are we doing?
He's probably not even
I don't
in charge
understand.
of his own socials. Let's be honest.
Probably
he's not.
But it pisses me off, because I'm he doesn't need to do these type of tactics. I don't find that entertaining.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, when things get a bit scrappy and, like, you know, they're bitching and moaning on the radio because they all do it. I'm not specifically saying just Max. All the drivers do it. That's entertaining. But when you are purposely seeing red and you're trying to drive into someone, if that was on the road, that's a crime.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand. It's no different just because this is entertainment.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it really, it annoyed me because he had such a good thing going this season where he was pulling so much out of the bag that he had, like, no one knows where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And then he does this, and
then
yeah, he really pissed me off.
You lot vote him driver of the day.
Fucking driver of the day.
What are you doing?
Fuck.
Millie,
I raged because I was like, what the hell is happening?
How can we have voted him driver of the day when Hulkenberg
period, drove for his life? It was like his rent was due in a fucking steak. I honestly could not tell you, but good for him. Like, I obviously
driver of the day, you're like bitches.
Bitches. I was so mad for him, and don't get me wrong, like, do I want to see Lewis overtaken? No, but like, go on Hulkenberg, because that was crazy. And then to not get driver of the day, he's driver of the day to me.
And me.
Yeah.
You're always in our hearts, Hulkenberg.
Love you.
Yeah.
Nico.
I mean...
Oh, Goldberg. Sorry. I miss Danny Rick.
Oh, well, rumours.
You get to talk about
rumours.
Give us the tea.
Now, what's the new one coming in 2026? Remind me.
Cadillac.
Cadillac.
Cadillac or Audi?
Oh, Audi. But they have a different name, don't they?
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Don't know what it is, but it's out. I heard rumours that possibly they could be recruiting Danny Rick.
I would love to see it. I love that man just for his personality, the vibes. But also, obviously, he's a good driver, but don't get my hopes up, Millie.
Has anyone else heard these rumours?
I'd love to know.
Am I being...
Someone give us the inside scoop. Alex Albon, call us up and tell us the inside scoop. I know he's listening.
Albon calls me every night.
Oh!
If only. If only that man knew I existed.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you do know the scoop, if you could let us know. I didn't tell Jazz this, but we got catfished again this week.
What was it this time? Sugar daddy?
Do girls even message first anymore? Hit me up. And I thought, this is an F1 fan account. I don't know who you think we are.
Well, we had Daniel Ricciardo all that Albon. We're missing a trick.
So yes, Hulkenberg.
That's great. Phenomenal drive. Phenomenal drive. Can I please spend some time just expressing my love for Hadja quickly?
Yes, please do.
I need to gush.
This is your forum.
Because, thank you. I have had my Instagram flooded by VCARB content, and it's all pretty much Hadja. And obviously Liam Lawson, so, like, part of me is warming up to him through that only. But Hadja has my whole entire heart. He can do no wrong in my eyes, and I fully will be supporting him. He is the cutest, loveliest person I've ever seen in my life, and I just want to hug him and look after him for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I think he needs to be wrapped up in bubble wrap and
yes, protected at all costs.
Protected at all costs.
Like, nothing can ever happen to this kid, because one, he nails the lip syncing with the Kardashians and stuff, like, oh, chef's kiss, delightful, absolutely entertaining. But he's just so fun and funny, and like he gets so excited. No, he gets so happy about things. Like they do who done the best dap up, or whatever it is the kids call it these days, where they do the like hand thing where you're like, no, you don't know that. Anyway, they were doing that in Japan, and Hadja did his, and it echoed, and he was so happy about how good it was. And I absolutely love him, and I feel like everyone should back him. I've literally fallen so much more in love than I already was with him and his personality,
I love that
and
for you.
I want him to succeed.
Yeah, We do want Hatchet
for coming to my TED
360.
Talk.
He is an absolute diamond. We love that Lewis and his dad is his role model, and I just wish him all the best.
Absolutely.
So
I love him so much.
Thank you, Hadjar, for existing. We appreciate.
Do you have anyone you want to talk about? Because you talked a little bit about Williams, but do you want a little time for?
No, it's okay. It wasn't Williams' week, and that's okay. I'm happy to accept that, and they don't need to be talked about anymore. Maybe next time. Thank you for.
Wow, you're growing.
I've only been bragging about them because they've been doing so well, and it just wasn't their week, and that's okay.
It wasn't, but they'll come back. I fully think they'll come back.
Indeed. So it's Pride Month. I don't know if you know this, but it's June, and June is Pride, and we are all inclusive here. So for this week's segment, we're going to do the top 3 drivers. What colour of the rainbow will they be? Jazz,
Exciting.
Let's start me off with Oscar.
So Oscar, now, the reasons they're going to be fun because we always go from a different angle. Oscar is purple. Okay. And the reason I put purple is he gives such lavender husband vibes, such lavender vibes. Like, he's so cool, calm and collected. Like, I could probably lay next to him and fall asleep because I'd be so comfortable with him because he just doesn't. He's just not a chaotic kind of person. I'm not saying he's not got any personality. We've seen it pop out in here and there, but most of the time he's pretty steady going. So, yeah, it gives me lavender vibes. How about you?
Indigo, so dark purple. Because I again think he's cool, calm, collected. But I also think he's quite underrated, and I think purple or indigo in particular as a color, I do think it's an underrated color. People don't use it in their brands, 100%. And I think that's him all over.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to do Lando next? Because he came second.
I do. I found Lando a little bit tricky.
He was my harder one to do as well.
I've gone green for Lando. I feel like we've got the same. I've done green because he like when he's positive, he's really positive and he's got a great laugh. He finds everything funny and it's all great. But also there are times where he wobbles a little bit and sometimes green, if you're going to the chartreuse colour, it's not so great. And I feel like he kind of goes between them. But I will shout Lando out this week. Not that he's listening, but I have seen such a change in him since he stopped using social media, and I love to see it. I feel like he's finally realised that the outward noise was doing nothing for him, and he shut that off, and the change in him is crazy. Yes, he needs to work on his starts and stuff, but the mental attitude, I feel like he's finally really starting to believe, I can do this, I am good enough, let's see what I can bring to the table. And the cool down rooms really show it. He seems to be having a lot more of a good time.
Yeah, he seems lighter. He seems like a weight's been lifted. I also chose green. One, because it's iconic, like him, his iconic green helmet. And also because I agree, green is a hard colour because I've got to be in the mood for a green. Like, I'm not picking green out the wardrobe every day. It's really on-off kind of thing. And I think Lando's quite on and off. Maybe he'll be more on than off with this block out of social media. But I do agree. I think he's much lighter. You could see him actually be happier. He'd seemed like he had been really sad and down and carrying a lot recently. So I'm glad that's changed up a bit. And I hope that continues.
Period. Love that.
I wonder if we got the same for the last.
I feel like we have to now.
I don't think you're going to have the same as me for this one.
Okay, for Leclerc, I've gone yellow.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, so the reason I've gone yellow is because I feel like he's just such a ray of sunshine. No one hates Leclerc. Like, everyone loves him. He's such a happy-go-lucky kind of guy. He gives someone who is quite ditzy. I'm not saying he's not intelligent, but like outside of needing to be on, he just seems quite, like away with the fairies in a good way. In a good way. Like, he definitely, like, he brings the vibe. People want to hang out with him. People like him. I mean, he's got an ice cream brand, so what else would scream yellow, except for a guy like him. So that's why I've picked yellow for him, but I'm intrigued to know what you've got.
I a deep royal blue. Because I think he's classic. I think he is, I think blue, like a royal blue is, I mean, it's royal, isn't it? And he's royal. I think he's
quite regal. He's very regal.
He does scream regal to me. And I think that's why I picked the colour, because everyone loves blue. Everyone. I just think it suits him really. I also think it would look really good on him. I know he's in red. I do think his skin colour next to royal blue would just be beautiful.
Yeah, he can probably pull off the dual tones.
He can not me. I'm like a corpse, so royal blue washes me out. But I think he'd look good in anything, let's be honest. But royal blue is my colour for him.
I love that. I can't believe we've got 2 out of 3.
I know, crazy. That's really, we usually don't have the same sort of thinking pattern. I think you got better with Leclerc, I have to say. I do like the yellow metaphor.
Did she just compliment me, guys?
I did.
Happy Pride!
Happy Pride! Okay. Moving on to the last little bit. Let's do our predictions for next week's race, or this week's race, because we're a little bit behind still. Canada.
Sorry about that. Canada. So tricky to know. We think it might be a little bit rainy. That might sway some things, but to be honest, I think the McLaren boys are pulling blinders. For me, I think we're going to see a Lando, Oscar, Max. That's my prediction. Max is always up in the air and questionable because he's either on it or he's not. But I think if it is a little bit of rain, Max will be able to make that an advantage. What's your prediction? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I see where you're going with this. Yeah.
I do think it was a particularly bad day. So what I've actually done is I think it's going to be Lando.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be George Russell. I think he was quite good in the rain from what I remember.
Yeah, don't hate that.
And then I think it's going to be Oscar. I think if it rains, he might make a tiny mistake and that drop him down a few places. I think he'll be up high for a while, and maybe something might just catch him out.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I kind of forgot about Australia. And I think as well, I could be completely off base and completely wrong with this, but a couple of seasons ago, when Vettel was still in the grid, there was a really bad race in Spa where it was torrential. All the drivers called for it to be red flagged. They didn't, and Lando spun on like the really fast part and like nearly crashed really badly into the barriers. Luckily he didn't, but he spun quite a few times. Anyway, Vettel slows down, checks on him to make sure he's all right, and then he was really angry. He was like, I told you guys it's a red flag because of that. Like, obviously it could have been really serious for Lando if it had gone wrong. Ever since that happened, I feel like Lando's ability to drive in the rain has gotten better. I've got nothing to base that on, but it's almost like he's learned from that and he's done something, because we saw in Australia, right, he did really well in the rain and it didn't really seem to impact him. And again, he is British. How much does that play into it? It rains all the bloody time here, so you do have to be quite good at driving in the rain anyway. But I think you're right, it might play into favour. Maybe Oscar's done some learning too, but as I said, I don't disagree with your predictions. I think George is very well in his rights to be up there. I'd love to see Lewis up there, but it ain't gonna happen. One can dream. Oh, I'm sad.
You think is
everyone will be fired at Ferrari? One can only hope. Oh yeah, I meant not the drivers, but like the whole grid. Well, I think I have to shout out though the pit stop crew. I think they've been really on it this season, so I don't want them replaced. Exactly. They're coming in with their whisks. They're coming in with their KitchenAids ready, and no one else is bloody ready for it. So I genuinely think like not everyone needs to be fired at Ferrari. Pit stop crew doing a great job. Hope that continues. Yeah. Pit wall leaves a little bit to be desired.
Yeah, they are showing you up, pit wall. You best get your act together, because us two girls
sort it out.
Super popular have noticed.
Yeah, we're going to come for you
Mhm.
and we're going to show you what a good cake looks like.
Oh, yeah.
That sounded
Chocolate
really
fudge
weird.
style.
Ass. Oh, what a
Well,
mess.
everybody, I think that's probably it for this week's podcast. You can catch us on our socials. That's X. No, it's not. We don't have X.
It's not. A new one. We've added a new one to the mix.
We're not. We
on
don't
there.
support Elon Musk. So that is Instagram. Threads is what I meant. YouTube Shorts and TikTok. And I've been a little bit quiet on there recently, so I'm really sorry. That will pick up. We've been busy gals, don't judge us.
Very busy. Also, go and watch our previous video about the cake because you go and let it flop, you 3 followers. And I want it up there because it's funny as hell. I literally cackle every time.
And I'm not gonna lie, I've sent this to quite a few F1 fans, and everyone got it right, and nobody commented. So stop making us look like losers.
Yeah, like
interact,
come on,
please.
like this isn't very friendly of you. It's not very. I was gonna say girls, but I mean that in a non-gender term.
Women?
Well, people just supporting women would be nice.
I mean, yeah, that in general. Anyone, we welcome anyone.
We are funny. I mean, that is us saying it, but we are funny.
We're funny. I sent it to my manager and he loved it. Shout out Steve.
Steve, big up Steve.
If he watches this, he's
anyway,
gonna be like, oh, God.
I know.
Anyway,
let's wrap it up quick.
As always.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.